Oh, good morning. Wednesday morning. I have decided to coin a new phrase. Selective constitutionalists. I think it's apt for a lot of folks nowadays. Over the past couple weeks, I've had a number of discussions online and one-to-one with folks who seem to be okay. They genuinely seem to want things to go the way the Constitution does, except when they disagree with it. For example, free speech should not be abridged in any way, shape, or form, but violating Fourth Amendment rights to lawful search and seizure, that's okay. Don't continue to tax us, but let's go ahead and take away Miranda rights. I am very much a person who believes the Founding Fathers actually got the Constitution pretty much right. They didn't just, think up some ideas and throw them on paper. They actually had very sound reasoning for all of the articles of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And they weren't perfect by any stretch. That's why there are amendments. That's why the Bill of Rights is there. That's why there are amendments to the Constitution, because we have determined that since things are not covered necessarily by the Constitution or are incorrect. For example, the Constitution allowed slavery, did not allow women to vote. Amendments fix that. That's why they're there. Once those amendments are there, that's part of the Constitution. That's the law of the land. And I tend to be someone who really values the Constitution. I'm not saying others don't, but I value what is written in the Constitution. If you want something in the Constitution changed, then go for an amendment. Go for it. It doesn't happen very often. Why? Because that's a pretty serious act. That is a very distinct thing that you need to do. And it's not supposed to be easy to change the law of the land until somebody else can pass another amendment. It's not supposed to be easy. That's why very few amendments actually pass. But I find lots of folks either ascribe things to the Constitution that aren't there, or don't understand what the Constitution says, so they want to abridge rights that are guaranteed by the Constitution. My point is simply it's the law of the land. You follow those laws. If you don't like them, change them. But until you change them, that's the law. I'm all about free speech. Free speech ends when my nose begins. I.e., free speech is great as long as it's not harming another one or infringing upon someone else's rights. But keep in mind that at the time that the Constitution was written, free speech was more about the ability to protest against the government without fear of repercussion. They wanted to be able to tell King George where to stuff things, but couldn't because they would be arrested, imprisoned, and punished. They wanted to ensure that the government did not have the capability of doing that, of repressing speech as a government entity. That is not, however, to say that free speech is allowed to create a harmful situation. That's where the right to free speech ends. The promise of free speech in the Constitution was there to allow people to speak without fear of repercussion, not that repercussion from the government. It was not to allow people to use free speech in a manner that was likely to harm others or put others in danger. Let me give you an awesome example of the kind of dichotomy here, where some people are going to want to pick and choose pieces of legislation or pieces of the Constitution. With the whole New York bomber scare, everybody was like, well, there's a problem with the no-fly list. We need to do a better job of using the no-fly list. It needs to be able... And everybody was up in arms. They wanted to take away Miranda rights for people who may have some connection with a terrorist group. One of those that sounds great at first blush, except all it would take is one little incident where someone had some vague connection or had a name that was similar to someone, for them to be denied their Miranda rights and interrogated without an attorney, and have that entire case get thrown out because the name was wrong, or any number of things that the Miranda rights protect. But even more importantly, there is absolutely no evidence whatsoever that Miranda rights have ever slowed an investigation. They've had no impact on an investigation whatsoever. There's no evidence of it. So we're talking about removing someone's rights for no reason. That's pretty amazing. At the same time, someone else said, hey, you know what? We have this no-fly list. These are all people who are being watched as potential terrorists, so having terrorist connections. What we should do is, anyone who's on that list should be restricted from buying a gun. Now, you would think the people who were going for removing their Miranda rights would look at this next law, this next proposal, and say, well, sure, we want to stop them from being terrorists. They shouldn't have guns either. Lo and behold, no, they want anyone to be able to buy a gun. They can't get on the plane, but they can buy a weapon, because it might infringe upon the Second Amendment rights. This is what I mean by selective constitutionalist. Let's abridge Fifth Amendment rights, but protect Second Amendment rights. You can't have it both ways, kids. Protect one, protect them all. I think if folks could just rationally look at things and really understand the Constitution, a lot of these things wouldn't be an issue. But of course, folks, as is human nature, will pick and choose what they want to hear. So there's my phrase for the day, selective constitutionalism. Let me know what you think about it. Hope you have a great day. We'll talk to you later.